All right, once again here at the Coachella Invitational, our 5th interview today, but last but not least, Jared Shawlee, president of the San Jose Earthquakes. Jared, how you doing? How was your offseason?
It was quick. So it was quick. It feels like just yesterday we were flying back from Kansas City after that game, and we turned the page that Friday right after, and then have been preparing ever since. So excited to be here in Coachella, excited to see a game tomorrow. It feels like it's time and it's coming again.
Did you come out last year?
I didn't actually come last year. No, I came down last year. I saw the preseason game in Irvine, but I didn't actually make it to Coachella. So this is my first time checking out the tournament.
So what brings you here this year? What kind of business goes on behind the scenes at these kind of preseason tournaments among the front office staff that you're getting to experience this year?
Yeah, it's a great question. I wish I had a set of like amazing meetings planned for tomorrow. Honestly, I'm really excited to see the game, hang out with the team, see our staff down here, and just spend some time connecting before the season starts.
Do you have to participate in the preseason rituals that the team has? Are you having to do karaoke with the squad, or no, they don't subject you to those rituals?
I sure hope not. It hasn't happened yet. But I guess we'll see at dinner tonight.
Well, let's stick a little bit with the on-field. It's been an exciting offseason, but some fans might be going like, yeah, I mean, there's been moves, but somehow, like, how did these all kind of fit together? And there's been a couple different themes. One is kind of addressing, I think, the left side of the field, which last year you had a really strong right side led by Christian Espinoza with just an absolute stellar season. He was awarded with a new contract in the offseason. Very clearly, he's the centerpiece and the foundation of everything you do. But that left side, last year left a lot to be desired in a lot of fans' minds. How was the mentality of the front office coming into this particular offseason?
Yeah, and obviously, this is really Chris Leach and Lucci and the group's responsibility to put the plan together on the field. But they were really clear about what we wanted to address, as soon as last season ended. And we've seen the moves start to get announced this week. We're thrilled that Pellegrino's joining us, Victor Costa, Bruno Wilson, along with the other signings that we announced earlier in the offseason. When I look at the team right now, I think we have a team that can compete for cups, and can compete for a home playoff spot. But also know our group's not done. So they're continuing to work and looking at, more pieces to add to the roster right now. But when you look at our team, I think the defensive back six, to me, is one of the best in the league, led by Daniel in goal. And so I think continuing to reinforce the attack is going to be where a lot of the attention's spent.
Do you ever sidle over to Leach and Lucci's office and plant ideas in their head? Are you spending late nights watching YouTube highlight videos and forwarding on the email thread to them?
It's a great question. It's I have my most fun part of my day is talking with them about what they're working on, but it's mostly me listening, and then just absorbing what they're looking at. I do check the YouTube highlights late at night though.
Okay.
That is
any good finds recently?
Well, our new left winger is about the most fun YouTube player you can find. So as soon as I knew we were talking to him, that was a human highlight reel.
Do you happen to play Football Manager? Are you familiar?
I don't play Football Manager, but I am familiar with the concept. So yeah, that's funny.
I figure if you get to do that in real life, there's not as much of a need.
No, I don't. I don't want to annoy those guys. So like I said, I'm listening. I want to make sure that I hear what their plans are and their strategy is, and I ask questions. Obviously, hold each other accountable to producing the results. But rarely am I pushing them in any direction on a particular player.
It is the 50th year, and so certainly there has to be a little bit more imperative behind having a good year, both on and off the field. You, from an executive perspective, as really the leader of the organization, what is it that you would like to hold the organization accountable to deliver, to make sure that the 50th anniversary lives up to expectations?
Yeah, that is so well said. Like, the way I feel about the 50th right now is just a responsibility. We have spent the offseason inviting back every player, coach, certain executives from the entire 50 years to a gala that we're going to have the night before the Stanford match. And in talking with all of them, you do feel a sense of responsibility because they have so much pride in the organization and what they did when they were here that I know we need to deliver that to that same level in 2024. We have never been better positioned to do so on and off the field, in my opinion. Off the field, we are going to have our highest attendance we've ever had this year. We're going to have record revenues for the club, top sponsorship, top outside events. We're welcoming Bay FC in. massive matches against big clubs. So we've set up the table for this to all come together, and now we just have to execute on it. But it is a big responsibility. I mean, 50 years, there's no other, well, it's us, Vancouver, and Seattle, right? And nobody else will ever catch us on having that sort of history.
Are there any projects going on around the team that you're particularly excited about this offseason that you think will change fans' experience, improve fans' experience heading into this next season?
Yeah, good question. The biggest project's the training facility, but I don't think that's quite what you're getting at here on the question. So we'll talk about
it's all on the table.
Well, let's do the stadium first. So the biggest project of this offseason was actually getting the stadium ready to also have Bay FC be a co-tenant with us. So when fans show up, they're going to see the new Bay FC locker room. It's almost done. I think it'll be done in mid-April. But it's a 3,600 square foot building that's right at the corner of Wando Way and Earthquakes Way. Beautiful building that's coming together. So that was really the biggest infrastructure project. From the fan experience side, we actually did a massive upgrade of the Wi-Fi system at the stadium with a new partnership with Cisco.
That's good for us.
That's going to be
if
good
you
for
want an
everyone.
uninterrupted aftershock.
I didn't even think of that.
Can you make sure it extends onto the corner of the field where we might be doing an aftershock?
I did not even think of that. That's great. We should put the Cisco logo on the after if it's working. So if it's not working, don't put Cisco. But no,
sponsorship question there. We'll figure it out later.
It's a great new sponsorship. It brought Cisco in as a 7-figure partner of the Quakes, which is another big tech company coming into the fold. The Wi-Fi system, I'm told, is top of the line, and so far the experience and all the testing has been great. So that's probably the biggest fan experience change. In addition to that, there's going to be some surprises for the 50th anniversary splashed around the stadium. There's also going to be some new food options brought in. So it should be a lot of fun on March 2nd.
You mentioned the facility, and we've been talking about this for years, and we talked about it against before the LAFC game when we talked before that you had a lot of confidence this was going to happen. What did you feel like when it finally got across the line, when that vote finally passed that told you yes, you were going to get to begin building a facility at the Santa Clara Fairgrounds?
It's a huge milestone for us as a club to just be able to put down deeper roots and build more infrastructure. For our team, it's going to be an incredible facility to train at. For our academy kids, they're going to get the opportunity to train right next to the first team. And then for the community, we're bringing 4 fields online in an area of the city that desperately needs it. So that checked so many different boxes that I'm excited about. But on top of all that, what was amazing at the actual announcement press conference was seeing the city of San Jose, led by Mayor Mann, Cindy Chavez, Board of Supervisors on the County Board of Supervisors, coming together, holding an Earthquakes soccer ball after they had just had a mayoral race against each other, right? And so to know that the Quakes can be a uniter for the community and for really powerful, figures within our community to come and support us in something like this, I think that's almost what got me the most excited about where we go in the future. Because the Quakes are at the table. We're at the table with, the powerful of Silicon Valley now, and that's a really important place for us to be.
So what's the status on the project now? Is it permitting? Is it construction? Where is the project at right now?
Yeah, so right now it's design and permitting. That should take anywhere from 6 to 9 months. The goal will be to do a ceremonial ground break sometime at the start of 2025. From the ground break date on, that's the easier part to predict. That's an 11-month build cycle. Mm-hmm. So this part right now with design and permitting can sometimes take longer, sometimes speed up. We have great engagement from the city, great engagement from the county, and our staff's meeting weekly to do design work on the building and the layout and all those sorts of things.
Are you going to be moving your offices over there? Is the majority of the front office going to be moving over there or staying at PayPal Park?
Great question. So the majority of the front office is going to stay at PayPal. This is really going to be the soccer side that moves over to the new facility. But part of our design layout, we will have flexible workspace in the building so people can go back and forth. The proximity of the two is so great, right? Mm-hmm. That where people work from, it's going to probably all turn into more of a flexible space.
And a large media room, obviously, where we can conduct all the interviews we want.
It's in the plan right now. Large media room. There's a great social media room. There's a little barber shop. We're adding all.
Okay. In case nice. Jamie needs to get his haircut after.
Oh yeah, I gotta keep it nice and short. It sounds very exciting, and it does seem that the configuration has changed around a little bit. So what are we at the final configuration? Do you know this is definitely what it's going to be, Or is there still going to be potentially some conversation in the final outcome here? How does that also, you mentioned design, and that's the first thing that came in my head.
Yeah, no, you're right. So site layout is the first part of the design. What we're doing is parallel tracking site layout, which is some of the public fields can still shift around a little bit to allow for further development of the fairgrounds. There's some other exciting sports projects they're thinking about at the fairgrounds, and we want to be accommodating to those. And the second design, what we are spending the most time on, though, is the design of our building and the layout of our building. Because whether our building is, the top of the property, it's going to be the same shape. So there's two different design processes taking place.
Is there ever a chance that it could be expanded to accommodate more public fields? Has that ever been discussed? And let's start with this and then the potential for expansion, because there's a lot of additional land even around it.
Yeah, and that's going to be a question that's really up to the county and how they want to use the fairgrounds land. So there's a couple other projects I think that's been announced in the public, but they're looking at doing a cricket stadium out there, a potential track for San Jose State. So there's other sports and entertainment venue projects that are being contemplated for the site, but there is enough space to add fields if ultimately, that's where the county wants to go with it.
Has this been the most challenging project that you've been working on? I'm curious, what is occupying your day-to-day over this off-season? Where have you been spending your most time focused on heading into this season?
Yeah, that's a good question. This has definitely been number one.
Okay.
This has so many different parts to it to keep it moving forward and on track, and it's just so important for us that it's number one. But my day is spent across all parts of the organization, right? So we were joking about some of the roster building and things like that, but I love spending time with that group. Sponsorships, ticketing, stadium operations, and then working on some of the other projects around the area, the 2026 World Cup, being a part of the Bay Area host committee that's putting that together. Really taking a lot of time, getting Bay FC brought in and just working through with their group all the things that come up as you're becoming partners. So I think those are probably the biggest ones right now. But I try and have a different day every day.
Was there a celebration in the office when the venues were announced and when Levi's got the games?
Well, so we had the celebration, I think it was 2022, was when we found out Levi's was going to be a host, and we were at the stadium at Levi's, which was great. We didn't have a celebration on the number of the games because that was kind of a different sort of announcement. It wasn't like the tension of literally, are we going to get games, right? So, but I'm thrilled. 6 games, I think it's going to be great. 5 group stage games, 1 knockout round game. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big party.
You think there are going to be Earthquakes players in those games at that World Cup?
I don't know. Let's do that in the 2026 season preview.
All right, we will note that down. 2026 season. We're going to be asking you who's going to be in those Levi's games.
Yeah.
Not looking for you to necessarily use our platform to announce anything, although you're welcome to if you like. But there's been a lot of work, community work, that's also been going on. I believe I just got a notification this morning about another indoor soccer opportunity. There's been these mini pitches that have been building around the area. I know we talked last year that extending into the community, particularly in the build up to the World Cup, was a really important aspect to the club. Tudor Rahman, I think, leading that effort, if I remember right. What more do you want to say in terms of what's going on in the community outreach right now? Yeah,
it's a great question. No, I appreciate it. So as part of our 50th anniversary campaign, the announcement we made was we're going to do 50 mural projects around Northern California, the next of which we're going to unveil in San Leandro.
Ambitious.
Tomorrow, Saturday. Yeah, but they're beautiful. When these things are done, and I've seen the one in San Leandro, and it's got Christian Espinoza. Now we have a mural of Christian Espinoza. This is amazing stuff, right?
Yeah.
This is how you create permanent roots, and this is why players see this, and this is a self-fulfilling cycle that we're getting into. And on top of that, we're doing 50,000 meals in partnership with PG&E as part of our donation efforts with Hunger at Home that we do every Monday at the stadium. That was something that came out of COVID that we started. And then what Toodle's really leading for us is more of a brand expansion all around Northern California. And we're going to keep going city by city, doing these major events, and growing our fan base. And we've seen great results. In 2023, the first year we launched it, this was far and away our biggest brand growth that we've had, since I've been at the Quakes.
Is everything done in kind of 50-minute intervals now? Are your meetings 50 minutes long? Are you doing 50 push-ups every morning? Is everything 50 this year? Is that how this year is working?
I need to do 50 push-ups every morning. that would help.
Jared and I need to commit to each other.
Yeah.
Hold each other accountable.
There you go. It's
to
the
50
50th
push-ups.
anniversary.
50 push-ups.
You have to do it.
No, it's a great question. It is 50's on the brain of everything we do. I mean, it's fun for marketing purposes, right? You can play with the number all the time. So that's a great question.
Yeah. Well, I'll get a number 50 jersey this year.
There you go.
So we wanted to do a little bit of rapid fire with you. We've done this with Lucci a bit, and I'm not
boy.
going to say they're like rapid. Feel free to take as much time as you want to
With
reply.
Lucci, it's hard to do rapid because he gives such thoughtful and well thought out
And
answers.
sometimes we're trying to joke, and I'm not sure he always takes it as humor.
That's awesome.
He thinks it's a serious question, so there's some of that going on.
Oh,
So
boy.
take these however you like. We're not intending to try to make you look bad or anything. Okay, so first off, 50 years, what is your favorite Earthquakes memory? And, who is your favorite Quakes player of all time? Maybe they're not necessarily the top of the list of the best player, but you just had a special affinity for them.
That's a great question. So two different ones there. So, I mean, it's weird because he works for Wando's my favorite player of all time. But I'll go maybe off the radar favorite player a little bit more is Justin Morrow. It's always been one that has been at the top for me, and I've told him this, so he knows it. But we got the Notre Dame connection. He's just such a great guy, and I loved just his entire career trajectory he had in MLS. I thought it was great. Favorite one moment is hard to pin down. I'll say Alan Gordon's goal at Stanford. As far as a moment in time, what that actually felt like I had an out-of-body experience when that happened. That just made no sense that was happening. But I'll share one that's maybe a little more personal and it's more recent. So in 2022, obviously we weren't having a great season, and we had the LAFC match at home at PayPal, and big crowd. And everyone coming in was like, "Oh my God, LAFC is going to take over," and there's no LAFC fans. It was all Quakes fans, right? We had this great atmosphere, and Tommy played the ball to Cade at the end for the winner, and Cade just blasted it right into the roof, and that stadium erupted. That part was great, but my actual favorite part was I was walking out that night after the game, and I happened to bump into Cade and Nico leaving at the same time. And we were kind of in that back breezeway area. Gave Cade a big hug. I'm like, "Oh my God, it's amazing." And I turned, and those guys are walking out in front of me, and the fan eruption when they saw Cade and Nico walking out the gate that night, I was like, "Man, these guys are superstars. Our academy kids are becoming superstars." And I just thought that moment was super special. And I was thinking about that with Cade, obviously leaving now. So that was a real special one, I think, for me.
That's actually the same reaction Jamin gets when he leaves the stadium after the Aftershock show.
So this is not on the fast questions, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway.
Sorry, I gave you a long answer to your fast question. I messed up the game.
It was a good one.
But when Cade did go, to Chivas, and then the build up to that, and there was there's Cade in a vehicle, out there. Were you at some point through all the memes and everything else that you saw? At what point did it become so surreal? That's our boy, and there's all this attention. All of Mexico is paying attention to our boy right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it was surreal. Cade was ready for that moment, so it actually felt natural. The worst moment of the Cade transfer is my 9-year-old and my 6-year-old daughters were crushed.
Oh.
They got Cade jerseys for Christmas. They are.
Well, that's on you. That's on
Cade.
you.
You
You could have seen that one coming.
My 9-year-old said right after, she's like, "I will not come to an Earthquakes game this year, Daddy." She's since changed, but that was the hardest part of the whole thing.
We'll trade it out for a Christian jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a good 3-year contract.
Exactly.
We'll be okay there.
Exactly.
All right. Well, next rapid fire question. A lot of people around the Earthquakes community, on the team, in the front office. Who do you think would represent the Quakes on America's Got Talent? What's the special hidden talent that somebody in the team has, somebody in the office has that would do well on that show?
I don't watch America's Got Talent.
Anything.
So
But
Do you have?
what
What would you
special
do?
talenters? Who can go to karaoke?
Can I get a phone
in
a
your
friend
life?
on this one? I would have to ask Ryan or something like that. I don't know. It's a great question.
Does Ryan have any special
Ryan,
hidden talents?
Who's got special talents Who's got special talents in the front office and no one knows it?
I've heard Kane hum a little bit. I think he could sing.
Who is this?
Kane, he's part of our grassroots market.
Oh, got it. Okay,
Okay.
so
I think he's a vocal.
we got someone who can sing. All right.
I'm not putting poor Kang on the spot on that, but yeah.
Could they have
This
front
is-
office
this
preseason?
This is a
ritual?
great
Oh,
video,
well,
by the way.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
having conversations
Yeah,
with people on the
yeah.
is it mine?
Yep. Go ahead.
That's the next one. Okay. So you watch the Aftershock,
Mm-hmm.
usually after wins
Mhm.
only. So what is the thing that you wish that we said or did on the Aftershock, and you're like, man, I wish those guys would like talk about this or say this, that we never do?
That you never do.
Or
No, you guys
not doing
do
that.
such a good show. I've said this to you guys both before. I mean, the show is incredible. Like, and the fact, I will say the dynamic that exists between the two of you, obviously with Robert and Phil and Colin too, is like, it's almost like the perfect juxtaposition. You know, Jamin doing the like analytics and analysis. Colin's got the cap and the spreadsheet and weighing in there. Alex has the vibe check and like, how cool is this move and what's Twitter saying about it? You know, I just love the whole back and forth. So no, I don't have anything for you guys to add to it. You guys are doing such a good job on that right now.
All right, next rapid fire. I want to know what your favorite chant is that the supporters have. Which one are you joining in on? Are you humming to yourself?
Which one
on
like
your, on
gets
your
you
ride
going
home?
and you're like, okay, we're in the game?
I mean, it's San Jose Earthquakes. You are my team until the day I die. And when that happens, I'll still be singing for you up in the sky. That's, you know, I've told Dan this, Dan from the Ultras, like that's a song, like I used to use that to rock my kids to sleep. Like, cause it's just such a good like rhythm and melody to it. And for me, it captures like a high and low of a game. Like if you're feeling great, that's a great song. But also if you're not feeling so great, that's a great song. So it's always been that one.
You ever tried to write any to make your own Earthquakes chants?
No.
They didn't ask you that in the
No.
interview to become president?
No.
It's not
No,
a
I leave that.
prerequisite?
We have our supporters are amazing. They are so good at that. That is not where my talent lies.
So with all the Portuguese players coming in the team, are you learning some Portuguese?
I know no Portuguese at all. I was texting with Taylor Amarante, who used to work in our front office and now our in-stadium host, who's Portuguese and puts on our Portuguese Heritage Night. And I told him, I'm like, you got to help me. Like, come down here and you got to be my translator with these guys. But it's pretty cool. I love the dynamic between the Brazilian players and the Portuguese players, and it's gonna be a heck of a back line to watch this year.
Apparently, Bruno Wilson is now the translator, so you can go to him.
Perfect. Yeah, he seems like a really smart guy. So
You mentioned that the club is doing a lot of outreach this year in the community. I'm curious what your favorite Bay Area food spot is. If you need to go out and get lunch from the office, where's your first spot? Where are you going?
So my favorite place in San Jose for like me to just sneak off to lunch is just go La Vix and get a burrito.
Mm-hmm.
La Villa on Lincoln for a sandwich. Smoking Pig right across the street for barbecue. Those are probably my top 3 like San Jose spots I go to.
Okay.
So in this kind of 50 years, obviously, maybe from the NASL days, some of those players are no longer, with us. If you could, though, be able to pick any Earthquakes player from the past, and you could get in, a few minutes with them to be able to chat with them, who would you be interested in having a conversation with, and what question you would ask if you could?
It would be George Best for sure. I would just love to hang with him. I don't mean to be insensitive, but like if you were to have a beer with him and hear his stories of everything that's gone on in his life. And I've gotten a little bit of that with Chris Dangerfield, being so close with him and sharing a little bit of his stories. But I mean, talent wise and experience wise and having seen the world like the way he did, that'd just be what a conversation. So.
I'm curious. The next rapid fire question I have is where you play on the field when you're watching the games. Who are you thinking about? Who are you following? Who is your idol on the pitch because you're trying to emulate the way that they play?
I don't have an idol on the pitch, but I would put myself in that 6 role. And Chris Leach and I always joke about this, like, because I say he's the 9. He's got to like bury stuff for us and keep us moving forward. I like to be the 6. I like to just see everything that's happening and then step in and as problems arise, sweep that back forward.
Right. So we're expecting then that you play there in the next media staff game.
We got to start those 50 push-ups. Yeah. Do that game.
You just want to be the young guy running around us old guys.
Yeah. Well, we last time we lost. Last time it was unfair because you brought in a couple former players and a couple ex-pros onto the staff team.
But
we
Jake
need redemption.
cheated, and Jake's no longer around, so we think maybe we could get a fair game.
So on our staff now, we have Chris Wondolowski, we have Shea Salinas, we have Jordan Stewart, Ian Russell, Steve Ralston, Lucci, like
What
Aiden.
you asked for.
Yeah, I think
we might need to split up the teams.
I think the Quakes staff might be able to beat some of the Quakes players right now. Our staff's
don't say that
incredible.
too loud.
I should say that. Yeah.
Well, before we go, Jared, obviously there's just a lot that's going on around things like the 50th anniversary. Is there anything that we haven't talked about or anything you want to make sure fans know about coming into, this particular season, anything going on behind the scenes or anything that they'll see that you want to make sure that they get to a chance to experience?
You know, I don't think we've talked about it yet, but the thing I'm most excited about is where the attendance is going this season. You know, we were the second highest growth attendance team last year after Inter Miami. You know, I came from the Levi's game, but we also had a 12% growth at PayPal Park, which was really great to see. This year, we're going to shatter that. We're up 15% on season tickets. We're going full stadium for our LAFC match at Levi's, and we're already up 30% on that game from where we were last year. And we just got, you know, this League's Cup draw that includes Chivas and the Galaxy. The attendance this year should break all records we've ever had as a club. And I think that that's going to translate into that same atmosphere we saw at the end of last year, the Nashville game and the Austin game with the sold out crowd and the new supporter section kind of overflowing with people. And the stadium should be absolutely electric on March 2nd.
It's going to be interesting. The Cade Cowell coming back and getting a chance to play against his former team and be able to do it. The rumor is anyway, Levi Stadium is going to be where Chivas decides to make its home in the League's Cup. And if that's true, that would be really amazing.
I think it would be really smart for Chivas to continue to grow their fan base in Northern California.
That's well said.
Do you have a Cade Cowell Chivas jersey yet?
No.
Did they give you one of those when
No.
they submitted the transfer bid?
No, what we said is as soon as we have a free weekend, we're going to go down and see him for a game. And I think that's maybe when we get a jersey. But
How many free weekends do you have in the build up to the season?
I have not figured out when that's going to be yet. But
Yeah.
no, I definitely want to get down there. I want to see him play in a game. You know, we're so proud of him. And you know, I think you guys did. I watched the show after we did the transfer. I think you guys nailed it. Like, to me, it's just a moment where everybody that's part of the Quakes community can be proud, right? That he's one of us and he's going there and can kind of continue to develop his own career.
And that was the most popular, most viewed Aftershock show
that's awesome.
that we had in the history of the Aftershock.
Saying
There
over
was
5
a lot of
5,000
eyeballs.
views on
Oh, that's amazing.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, fans, for joining us. That's going to wrap up our coverage here. Jared, thank you so much for the time today. It's always great to catch up with you. And, you know, our best wishes for the big 50th anniversary season ahead.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Great. Thanks for joining. Always a pleasure.
It was fun.